laying on the ultrasound table, and all of a sudden, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. And I turn back around, and the whole room just felt like it was shrinking. I felt all these angels come in, and that's when I heard the doctor say, "I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat." And I felt like I had been body slammed, and my spirit just exited my body. So that night I go home, and I'm praying to God, and I'm sobbing, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? What is happening?" I was so mad.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Eccles. Welcome to Dear Daughters of God, where we explore the sacred thread between generations and discover what our ancestors could teach us about faith and preserving what we want our descendants to know and remember. Today is one of those days for a beautiful woman to preserve her story for her descendants. Her name is Sheena Wyrick, and she's played a vitally important role in my life. Welcome, Sheena.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. This is going to be a special episode. We have an incredible history together. But before we get into that, I want to introduce Sheena, and then she will, from there, share her story, what she would like to preserve for her descendants, what she'd like them to remember about her. All right. Sheena is a wife and a mother to 5 wonderful children, including an angel baby. Sheena is an intuitive healer who helps people release the emotional roots that are causing physical pain. Sheena is the creator of the Healing Library, which has helped hundreds of people heal from physical and emotional pain. She loves creating spaces where people feel seen, supported, and empowered. Her mission is always the same: to help people heal from the inside out. Outside of her healing work, Sheena is a lifelong learner who loves to read. She loves going on daily walks and having dance parties with her children. Sheena also loves traveling with her family and experiencing the joys of what life has to offer. You are such a delightful person. You have a light about you that just lights up the whole room, and you have conversational ability that just draws people into what you're saying. So I can't wait for our audience to hear your story. Yeah. All right. Now that I've introduced you, I thought that I should tell them how we met. But I'm curious because how we met started a little bit on your side, going to a conference, right? Do you want to tell
Yeah.
us how that came to be? And then I'll take it from there.
Yeah, sure. So I went to a conference, had a lot of inspired speakers, and, I went with a girlfriend. It was just a fun Saturday afternoon, and I'm glad it worked out because there were things on my end that I'm like, I don't know if I can go, like with babysitters and getting someone to watch my children, but we made it, which was part of a miracle. And we went there, and my friend had decided, because there's like 3 classes to choose from every hour, and I had the ones I wanted to go to, and they actually matched up with what my friend wanted to do. So we were really lucky, and we went to this class that Stephanie was teaching and sharing her story. And I tell you what, I'm sitting there in the audience, and I am just captivated by you. And I felt this spirit for the first time that day in your story. And I was like, who is this woman? Like, I just felt your strength, your power, your presence, your connection to God. And I was like, whoa. And it just struck me right in the heart. And when you were done speaking, my friend and I looked over at each other, and we were both like, wow. And my friend was like, how in the world? Like, that was so beautiful. And so you had a booth, and I would try to go, but there were people there. And so eventually I made my way over to your booth and introduced myself and talked to you and thanked you for your story, and to be able to feel the spirit, that day in your message and sharing your light and your story. And it was just so touching for me. And so that's when I came up to introduce myself.
Thank you, Sheena. Okay, so my side of the story is, I better give a little background. Many of you know I had been having migraines that came on suddenly in March of 2022 after a simple procedure for freezing the nose called Clarifix. Along with that, cluster headaches, a stabbing knife pain in my left eyeball and left cheek. And this changed my life dramatically. After every day of these occurring, I retired as executive director of Excelsior Academy. So now time has passed, 3 years have passed, and I'm given an opportunity to speak at this Vibrant Living Women's Conference. And I thought, oh, can I do it? I wanted to do it, but could I make it work? At the beginning of the year, I had been inspired as I'm praying in my closet to memorize the living Christ. And that's a very long document. I began that memorization, and it was very difficult because I suffered from brain fog that comes with migraines. And so it started out very slowly. But I realized after the fact that what I didn't realize at the time was, I thought it was a good mental exercise, is that I was gradually gaining physical and spiritual strength through memorizing the living Christ. And then I was given a special blessing, and I say special, every blessing is special, but this was, I would say, the most significant blessing since my patriarchal blessing when I was 16 years old, to help me prepare for this women's conference and to be well for that day so I could actually give the talk. And I was told in that blessing that I'd be given the power to be healed. My body would be given the power to be healed. So, just as Sheena said, we're at this women's conference. We've never met, and she approaches me after my speech, and she is just dynamite with this loving energy. And she asked me, "Are you still having migraines?" Because I had referenced it briefly in my talk. And I said, yes, I am. Then she said, maybe I could help you. Then she explains that she's an energy healer and that she feels other people's pain. And, because of the 3 years of pain that I had been through, it really changed me. If you had told me that before I experienced migraine and cluster headaches, I would have looked at you with great suspicion. I was raised by a surgeon and a traditional mother, and I didn't look outside Western medicine. I did not. But 3 years of pain changed me. And so I felt no suspicion. I felt very close to Sheena, like she was my friend, and yet we had just met. And so I just looked at her and said, "That's amazing. How does that work?" Anyway, from there, she tells me some stories about helping other people. We exchanged numbers, and we decide we're going to talk again. And then the rest of the day, she goes off to her classes, and I go off to my work. And a couple of weeks pass. In the meantime, I have more migraines. I travel to North Carolina, move my daughter there, and come back, and I'd had on my whiteboard, do something different for yourself, for your migraines. Do something different. And there was Sheena's name. And I thought, it's time. I'm going to call this woman who I really feel close to. In just that brief encounter, maybe we're together 20 minutes, and I called you, and you said, yes, you could talk within that day. And we talked on the phone. Sheena lives in another community up north, and I live in the North Salt Lake area. So we were just over the phone. She talks to me about, she starts bringing in illustrations into my mind. And I thought, this is very odd. But then I reminded myself, am I going to actually give this a try or not? And I decided I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to be true in my effort. I'm going to listen. I'm going to take it in. I'm going to have an open heart. And after the phone call, she encouraged me to write it down and drink lots of water and keep my breathing going. Of course we breathe, but I mean that meditative type breath. And I had a good cry afterwards. And then 10 minutes after that phone call ended, my migraine pain was gone, just gone completely. I didn't call her back. She didn't know it. I didn't text her. I was just taking this moment to rest without pain in awe. So from there, a couple days later, about 3 days later, I started feeling migraine come back. I called Sheena again. And again, my pain left after our energy session. And this has continued on. Now I'm part of her healing library that she's going to tell you about. I used to go just 4 days in a row that I could go without any Tylenol or migraine medicine. Unfortunately, I'm the person that can't take ibuprofen. I would just take migraine medicine and Tylenol. And I could make it 4 days in a row, and I can only take it 3 days in a week, or it would cause more migraines. So my record was 4 days without Tylenol or migraine medicine. And now it's been over 175 days without migraine medicine or Tylenol.
And it's a
Now,
miracle.
yes. So I want to thank Sheena for being a part of that miracle.
You are so welcome. Oh, I love hearing this. And I didn't even know that, 10 minutes after the call, it had disappeared. I I'm finding this out for the first time. I knew we could find a little bit of relief here and there, but that is so beautiful. And I'm just like praising God for the miracle that we came into each other's lives.
Yes, I agree. There we go. I've got my voice back. So, Sheena, you have a story of your own, and she wants to preserve this story for her descendants so they know and remember this about her. So here's your opportunity, Sheena. Tell us about your story today. It has something to do with your husband. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
My overarching theme is it's never too late to live happily ever after. So my story, we've got to rewind to the year 2007. I was at an art fest in the summer, and this was back when wooden signs were popular with like vinyl lettering and had sayings and stuff. And I saw this sign and it said, "It's never too late to live happily ever after." And I thought, oh my gosh, like I've never heard that before. And that just struck my heart to the core. I was like, wow. See, because earlier that year I had recently been divorced. And so here I am trying to navigate being single, but having been married, and I'm still young, and like, what do I do? And so I just kind of always had that in my heart and always in the back of my mind that it's never too late to live happily ever after. So fast forward to 2010, my life hadn't gotten any better due to my poor choices, but Elder Uchtdorf in the April conference had given a speech called "Your Happily Ever After," and then they turned it into a book. And in there, I want to read, it says, "Isn't it remarkable to know that our eternal Heavenly Father knows you, hears you, watches over you, and loves you with an infinite love? In fact, His love for you is so great that He has granted you this earthly life as a precious gift of once upon a time, complete with your own true story of adventure, trial, and opportunities for greatness, nobility, courage, and love. And most glorious of all, He offers you a gift beyond price and comprehension. The Heavenly Father offers you the greatest gift of all, eternal life, and the opportunity and infinite blessing of your own happily ever after."
Oh, hold it one. Okay. Oh, that's nice. There we go.
Perfect. You are welcome. And so when I saw that they turned it into a book, I was like, oh my goodness, I love this. Now remember, I am not living a life that feels like it can be happily ever after.
Okay.
And I remember I started having a prompting that I needed to get back to the temple. I needed to change my life around, and I needed to get my temple recommend. And I was like, well, this is interesting. I did not know that God could speak to people who were sinners and not living a worthy life, right? So I already had this He was blowing through my limiting belief. Right?
Okay.
He was like, I can still reach you, even though you believe that you are unreachable at this point. And so I kept having this prompting. And about 6 months later, I was like, okay, I hit this point where I'm like, I'm done. It's time to change my life around. I moved back home, got out of the situation I was in, and moved back home with my mom for a little bit, like a week, until I could get into my own apartment. Shortly after, I got a job, and I was working at a warehouse where they scan, when you go to a checkout and they scan the barcodes to ring up your stuff. This would scan barcodes of books to see if they're worth money on Amazon, and then send them to Amazon, and then when they get sold, Amazon ships them out. So I'm in this warehouse. Think of a rectangle. You've got 4 corners, right? So there's a station in each corner, which was torture. I could stand working in a corner staring at a wall. But in the middle of this rectangle were 2 stations where you could work across from somebody. And I'm a social butterfly, so I was always in the middle. I'd get there early so I could make sure I had one of those 4 stations in the middle so that I could talk to somebody, because that was a long 10-hour shift if you didn't have someone to talk to and we're just staring in this corner.
I
And
could not
so-
imagine you going 10 hours without having a conversation.
Luckily I did have my iPod, and I'd do scriptures. I went through the Book of Mormon in just 2 or 3 short shifts, because it could just play all day. So it was a great time to, be able to have time to listen to audios. But I, of course, love to be social. So here I am, I'm working this job, and I realize, oh my goodness, all of the people that I work with, there was only one other girl, and the rest of them are young men, and they're all 18-year-olds getting ready to go on their missions. They're all getting their mission calls. Like, it was like every month somebody else is getting their mission call. And here I was, a 26-year-old single mama to a 2-year-old little boy. And I remember telling my boss, I'm like, you need to hire someone my age. Like, how's this gonna work? And so I remember one day I'm working, and there was this gentleman named Taylor that we used to work across from each other. He was just really fun to talk to. He'd already gotten his mission call. I remember it was a Spanish-speaking mission, and so we just chat about it. And I remember one day, there was, in one of the corners up front, there was just a little office with a small little window in it. And I remember looking in there and I was like, oh, there's a new person.
If you are into today's stories, could you like and subscribe to Dear Daughters of God so you can be with us every week? Thank you.
Oh, he's cute. I was like, and so I like went about my work. And,
Okay, wait, I'm guessing this is a handsome man?
This is a handsome man that is my husband now. But so I was like, okay, he's cute. And I remember I was like stacking books on my table. And I remember turning around at the exact moment that he's like walking down. It's almost like a hallway because it's got stacked books all the way to like the ceiling and then just the office wall. And so he's kind of walking down this little walkway. And I remember turning around and looking at him because he's like kind of watching his feet. And then he looks up and he looks over at me and I just smile at him. So that was like our first, like me seeing him seeing me. And anyway, and so the days go on and, he's over in one of the corner ones. We work at 7 a.m. And so every morning I'm like, good morning, everyone, come in all bubbly. And one day he was like, oh my gosh, like, how are you so happy and cheerful every morning? Because he comes in like dragging his sleepy body, And I was like, I don't know. I just have like this motto of like attitude and gratitude, right? Like, I was going through some major trials, like changing my life around, going through like a church disciplinary council, custody battles. I had a lot going on. There's a lot of stress, but I'm like, it's all about my attitude and gratitude. It could be way worse. Yes, it could probably be better, but by golly, it could be way worse.
I like that. By golly, it could be way worse.
Yeah. And so he's just always like walking in, like half asleep. And he's like, I just am not sleeping well. Our apartment is so hot. And I was like, oh, I have a brand new air conditioner unit just sitting in my storage unit. Would you like to borrow it? And he's like, yeah, that'd be great. Are you sure? I'm like, yeah. And then the pause. And I'm like waiting. I'm like, he's not going to ask me for my phone number. So I was like, what's your phone number? So I got his phone number so that I could, text him a time to meet up to get the AC unit. And it ended up not working out that night. So I just grabbed it, put it in my SUV and brought it to work the next day. So he likes to tell the story that I got his number first. So a few weeks go by and Taylor, the kid that I normally talk to, he wasn't working. And so I went over and worked in Taylor's station, and my husband Reese came over and started working across from me. As you know, I'm a social butterfly. So I'm like, hey, like, tell me, like, what is your last name? I was totally trying it on to see if it would work with my name. I was like, where are you from? Like, how many siblings do you have? Just talking his ear off. And then I proceed to tell him my entire life story. I'm like, this and this and this, and I was divorced, and, now I'm a single mom, and like all these things. And he was like, are you always this open and honest? And I was like, yes. And in my mind, I'm like, oh no, I just blew it. Well, little did I know, he had been praying for an open and honest woman for like 6 months.
Really?
Yeah. And so I was like, you should ask me out.
Yeah. Okay, I totally believe you said that.
I know. I was like, you should ask me out sometime. And then he's like, well, I kind of have this rule about not dating girls that like I work with, because like if you break up, like that can be really awkward and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay.
That must have been hard. Was that hard when he said?
Yes. Because in my mind, I was thinking, are you kidding? You don't know who I am. I'm a cool person. I've never been shut down a day in my life. And I just sold my bullet bike and my Harley Davidson. I am a cool chick. Like,
And had you told him about your bullet bike and your Harley Davidson?
I don't remember if I did. I don't think I did at that time.
Okay, so he didn't know how cool you were.
He didn't know how cool I was, I guess. But in my mind, I'm thinking that. So God did not install me with an awkward button. It's been a blessing that I didn't get installed. My make and model did not get that installed. And that's been a great thing in my life. And so I was like, well, I think this might be an awkward moment, because what do you say? Like, he just told me no. And so I turn around and I'm like boxing up my books on the pallet and everything. And I turn back around and he's gone. And I'm like, where did he go? And I mean, there's only two places to go, either the restroom or the office. And I look in the little office window and I see him in there and he's on the phone. And he comes back like 10 minutes later and he says, I just quit my job. When do you want to go out? And
What?
I just quit my job. When do you want to go out? And I said, how are you going to pay for this date if you don't have a job?
Oh my, he was
says-
very interested.
Yeah. And so I said, how are you going to pay for this? He said, well, that was Utah State calling to offer me a paid internship on campus. It pays the same as here. So when do you want to go out? I was like, talk about some divine timing. Because my ego had been a little wounded.
But now it was all picked up, and you must have been feeling really good about yourself.
Yes, I was like, wow. Okay then.
Hey, so then what?
So we ended up, so I told him, I said, I can't go on a date with you on the weekends that I have my son. My son is my priority. And so I had my son that weekend. And so we planned our date for the following weekend. And so it was about a week and a half out. Well, in the meantime, we kept talking. And we both got off at noon that day. And I mentioned, or maybe he mentioned, I can't remember. Either way, we ended up going out to lunch together. But I was like, but I have to go get my son from daycare. He's like, that's fine. So we actually hung out before even our first date a few times.
Really?
So we go to lunch. Yeah, we go to lunch together. He gets to meet my son. My son is obsessed with Reese. He is crawling all over him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I hope he's okay with this, you know, because I mean, if we get married, like, he's gonna have a child already, you know. And so we go to lunch, we have a great time. A few days later, I was at the park with my son. I went to a random park that I had not been to in years and years. It's not a typical park that I would ever go to. And I called Reese and I was like, hey, like, where are you? And he was just getting back into the valley. And I said, well, we're at the park. Would you like to come join us? And he's like, yeah, what park? And I told him, he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I live half a block away from there. I had no idea. And so he got home and he walked over. And we're just playing around in the park with my son, going down the slides with him, all the fun things. And all of a sudden, I had in my mind, very loud and clear, the word comfortable come through. And I was like, I know it wasn't my voice. It was a male voice. It was like, comfortable. And I was like, I actually am very comfortable with Reese. And then I'm like going down the slide and it comes again. And I'm like, okay, God, I got you. Like, yes. Like, normally by the second prompting, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I don't need the third. I know this is from you, you know? And so I was like, thank you. And so I thanked God for that second prompting. And that was like Saturday. So Sunday, because of my disciplinary counsel, I had to meet with the bishop all the time. And I go meet with him and I was talking to him about marriage. And I'm like, you know, how do you know it's the one? And he's like, because you'll feel comfortable. And I'm like, deer the headlight look. I was like, oh my gosh, like, there it is, the third time, you know, a second witness from somebody else. And I mean, we hadn't even gotten on our first date yet.
Oh my goodness, it must be all before your first date.
Yes, a lot happened in the week and a half leading up.
Heavenly Father's just triangulating where you are, which park you go to. Happens to be half a block away from his house. And he was still at work because he had to probably give us 2 weeks notice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're seeing him there. Okay. Oh, I like it.
No.
So now you've heard the word comfortable 3 times.
Yes. And so fast forward, it's now the weekend. We go on our first date. And I remember on our first date driving and I was like, oh shoot, I forgot his last name. I was like, what is it? because it's Wyrick, but it's W-I, and most people are like, Wyrick? And we're like, no, Wyrick. And so when he said his first name, when we were talking that first day, he's like, Wyrick, like a question, Wyrick. And so when we were driving, I was like, why right? I was like, no, that's not it. It's like, oh yeah, Wyrick. I can't forget his last name on my first date. And so this was the most random date. I've never heard of anyone doing this, but we drove up to Idaho to get lottery tickets.
Oh,
So
a
we
lottery
each had
ticket.
it. I know. I was like, that's random. We each had a $10 budget and we got the little scratch off ones. So I bought my $10 worth and I scratched them off and I kept winning. And so I turned them in and buy new ones with my credit, and I turned them in, and he was done the first like 3 cards he bought. He didn't win anything. We were there for an hour because I kept winning and turning them in for more. It was so much fun because we were laughing. I was like, here, I'll let you scratch off one of mine. He's like, I don't dare. You're lucky, not me. And he scratched off, and of course he didn't win. Anyway, we had a great time. We came back. We went to eat at like the Olive Garden. Then we went back to his place and we were watching a movie. But we actually didn't watch the movie. We just ended up talking like until like 4:30 in the morning. I was not a night owl, but we just kept talking, connecting, and just discovered like there's so many times I can guarantee when we have our life review in heaven, we will see that even though we didn't know each other, we were actually in the same places at the same time, but we had just missed each other. Like we were at the same concerts at the same time. I would stop at the gas station in North Ogden where he worked. I didn't go into a gas station ever. I just pump my gas and go. I don't need drinks or treats or anything. Like he worked there, and that's the only place I'd ever stopped for gas. Like, you know what I mean? All these times that I could have seen him or could have met him, but it didn't work out. But I promise it's all in divine order.
Yeah, so the timing is going to be perfect, I'm sure. Okay, keep going.
Yes. So then our second date was the following weekend. I had my son. So we actually took, my son's name is Blazin, and we took Blazin to go bowling. And it was the 27th, which meant it was my son's half birthday. So he's now 2.5. And I just, all of a sudden in my heart, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love Reese. And like, what is this? Like, my heart knew it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like he was so great with Blazin. He's so great with me. He's respectful. Like he's a worthy priesthood holder. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And so I just kind of kept that to myself. You know, we dated for a few more weeks. It was literally like the mushy love stories where we finished each other's sentences. Like, we were literally like, we would say that we're on the same brainwave. My thoughts were his thoughts were my thoughts. We were like united in that. And because I'm the social butterfly, if you haven't noticed, I talk a lot. And so I was always like, oh, and I think this, and I think this. And he was like, yeah, me too. And then I remember talking one night at a park, and I was like, oh no. And I kind of had this like a red flag. I'm like, wait a minute. He's just agreeing with everything I say. Like, is this true? Are we really on the same brainwave? And so, oh, bless his heart, I put him to a test. So the next day, I said, okay, so if we're always on the same brainwave and we're always thinking the exact same things, what am I thinking of right now?
Whoa, you asked him that.
Yep. Just through a text. I was at work, he was in class, so he was up on campus, and he got that text, and he's like, oh crap. He's like, Heavenly Father, I'm gonna lose her if you don't tell me what she's thinking, because she's scared. He felt it. And so he leaves class, he goes to the library, he puts his head down on a table, and he prays, and he's like, God, what is it? I need to know. What? And he saw an image of the Book of Mormon. And he's like, it's not that simple. God, what is it? What else? And God said, she wants to start reading the scriptures with you every night when you're together. And so he sends me that text, and it was like the blood drains out of my body. I'm getting full body chills. I'm having this like, oh my word. I didn't give him any hint. I didn't lead him on to like give him clues, nothing. And I was like, whoa, okay then. Wow.
Heavenly Father was speaking to you
Yeah.
through him.
Yeah.
Even though you put the whole situation to the test, right?
Yeah. I was like, Reese, what am I thinking right now if we're on the same brainwave?
You were
Versus you just agreeing with me, you know?
Right. He was obviously smitten with you at that point, or he wouldn't have taken that request of yours so serious.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And so that was a huge like miracle. Like God truly does know about the details in our lives and answer prayers. And so like a week or so goes by and I'm like, Reese, we need to talk again. I'm the one that's like, hey. And I'm like, okay, either I'm crazy or like God still speaks to people because I've been having promptings that we should get married. I told him about the comfortable prompting that had come 3 times. I'd had a few other little things here and there. And I was like, and I was just open and vulnerable and telling him this. And that's when he told me, he said, Sheena, I need to tell you something. He said, for 6 months before I met you, which is interesting because he'd actually been trying to get a job at where I was working for 6 months, but it just didn't work out. Because again, divine timing. But he had had this recurring dream of seeing me, his future wife, for 6 months before we ever met. But the Lord would show him me, but would remove the memory of the dream. So every morning he'd wake up and he'd like, oh, just what were the details? What was her face? Like, please. And he would just wake up like in tears just because he was so grateful that we had finally met. And a few weeks after we met, the Lord finally allowed him to have the dream to where he remembered. And what's interesting is it was exactly how that first time we saw each other played out. He remembers in the dream walking through a hallway and looking up and me just turning around and smiling at him.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a precious moment.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was beautiful. And so I was like, we knew within just a few short weeks that we were to be married. And this was the reason I needed to get my life back on track because he was 29. And I remember telling my friend, I was like, my best friend, she's like, well, he's 29 and single and not married. What's his problem? Does he have addiction? And, like all these things. And I was like, excuse me, would you like to know his problem? And she said, yes. And I said, it's me. And she said, what? I said, it was me. I said, his patriarchal blessing, 2nd page, 3rd paragraph from the bottom says, Reese, your future eternal companion is preparing herself to be worthy of you. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was preparing myself for about 6 full months before I met him, right? I was going through the whole meeting, with the bishop and doing all that the church had asked me to do to change my life around and go through the repentance process.
Yeah.
And I wasn't worthy, and I'm grateful that I didn't meet him then. I needed to work on my strength, learning who I am, feeling the Spirit again, reading the scriptures on my own. I enrolled in institute, like all the things, just going above and beyond. Okay, so when we talked about his patriarchal blessing, he told me that when he received his patriarchal blessing before his mission, and he kind of heard that line about, Reese, your future eternal companion is preparing herself to be worthy of you. He knew that he wouldn't be getting married fresh off the mission. He had a feeling it might take a while. So I know that was a trial for him that, we talked about. But what was so touching is that he said that after his mission, he began praying for me. I'm like, are you serious? He didn't even know me, but he was praying for his future wife, that I would be able to figure things out and to, learn the lessons that I needed to so that we could be together. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so touching. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't even think to pray for you. Like, that was just such a special thing. I was like, wow, he is just like the most amazing human being on this planet. And everybody that knows him loves and adores him. He is truly a miracle to me and many other people in his life.
Oh, that's so sweet to hear. I'm touched by the fact that he understood it was going to be a while and that he needed to pray for you.
So he is a wonderful father. He is the most amazing man to our children. He loves them. He will take them all the time to parks to give me a break. He'll take them on little adventures to go find animals. And it's so fun because the kids will come home and be like, Mommy, we saw 2 deers. I'm like, you saw 2 deers? That's great. Or, we saw 4 turkeys or whatever. Just last week, he took our 7-year-old pheasant hunting. And so he just took my other ones to school and he took him for just like a little hour. They literally found a pheasant, was able to get one within such a short amount of time. My son comes in just beaming with pride, showing me this pheasant that he and Dad got. And I was like, oh my gosh, like such fun little outings and stuff, to get together and spend time together. He's so good with them, always taking them to do little things. And I appreciate that so much, that he's been such a great dad to our children.
Oh, that is so sweet to hear. I just love hearing about dads that are so involved with their children's lives, and just play and spend time with them, that quality time. That was beautiful, Sheena. Your initial goal was that you felt like you should return to the temple, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But along the way, you get this incredible eternal gift of future husband along with this goal to get back to the temple.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, there's so many details. Like, we would go temple hopping when we were dating. We would go do sealings. And one day they're like, oh, Sister Purser and Brother Wyrick, is this an announcement? Because you have different last names. We're like, yeah, we're just practicing for when the day comes. And so, we would do things like that. And then I had to get a sealing cancellation. And so even before he proposed, he's like, I have the feeling we need to get started on this paperwork. And my bishop had never done that. And so that took a lot of work. And then we were telling people that we're in the process of that. And I mean, they would tell us horror stories. Oh, this couple's been waiting 20 years and the presidency won't give them a sealing cancellation. And I'm like, and so here I am, like, in desperation. I'm like, God, what do I do? Like, I am worthy to be sealed in the temple, like, from day one. Like, I don't want to, like, plan a backup wedding. Like, what do we do? Or you hear of, like, the letter coming the day of them getting married. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Be like, okay, we're at the temple doors. The letter hasn't arrived. I guess we go down to the park and get married civilly. But at the time, we would had to have waited a year. If you get married, that's now changed. And so I was really frustrated and just sad and heartbroken. And so I'm praying my heart out to Heavenly Father. I'm like, Heavenly Father, please, we need a miracle. And this cute home teacher would always bring his wife over as his companion, and we would visit every month. And they had a sealing cancellation. And they said it happened in 10 days. And so that gave me a little bit of hope. And I was like, maybe. And so we had sent all the paperwork in. And we just sent a text to our family and friends saying, hey, can you fast, or if not, pray for us that this comes through quickly, because you can't even schedule the temple until you have the sealing cancellation. And we wanted to get married in June, which here in IU, that's a very popular month to get married, right? May, June, July, the weather months.
Yeah.
And so we sent in all of our paperwork, and they received it and wrote the letter on a Monday, and we received it in the mail on a Wednesday. 3 days later.
Oh my goodness. I have never heard of such timing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Another miracle.
Yes, it is. It's another miracle. Oh boy. So 3 days later, you get a letter back that's going to cancel the previous sealing, which means now and make an appointment at the temple to be married to Reese.
Yes. Yep. So we called immediately. We scheduled the date and then prepared for the wedding. We actually decided to have the wedding reception the night before. And that was the best decision ever. I just had a prompting to do that. Well, there's a lot of stress sometimes on the wedding day, and making sure everything goes right, and did the food arrive, and where's so-and-so, and did the tables get set up or whatever. And so I just thought, you know what? Let's just do the reception the night before. That way, the day of our wedding is temple only. We don't have anywhere to rush to be. We don't have to rush the photographer. We don't have to, round up this or that or whatever. And it was just the most beautiful, very warm day in June, and everything went smoothly.
I really like your idea of having your wedding day be just all about the temple ceremony. It is such a busy, stressful feeling with all the other festivities, the reception. Good idea to have that the day before. Yeah, good for you. So it was a very reverent day.
Yes. It was just beautiful and it was so glorious. I remember being in the bride's room and putting on my wedding dress and just being so excited, so like filled with the spirit. We had never felt the spirit like that strong ever. It was just like the heavens had opened and I was so happy and proud of myself because I was pure. In that moment, I was worthy. I was worthy to be there. I was worthy to get married in the temple. And it was just such a huge blessing. There was a moment before the sealing where the sealer was talking to us in a different room while all of our guests were arriving. And then he's like, he had to step out, which they normally don't leave you alone.
Yeah.
But Reese and I just sat there and we just like soaked in all that we could of feeling the spirit like that strong. Like we knew God was in all of the details to bring us together and to have that phone call happen after he had shut me down. It's funny because he had to give a talk in Sacrament one time. Well, we both had to. I've spoke many times, but he finally had to speak with me. And normally they have the youth speaker and then the wife and then the husband will fill in the remainder. Well, this was back when we still had 3-hour church, so Sacrament was longer.
Okay.
And the youth speaker went, and then Reese popped up and they're like, no, you're not first. He gets up, he's like, I'm more of a youth speaker. My wife will fill in the remaining time. So he gave a 6-minute talk. And 3 of those minutes was introducing us, telling this story, a shorter version, but his version. And the reason he said he shut me down is because I needed to be humbled a little bit.
Oh,
He could tell I was a little too confident. So I was like, really? But then it was great because, of course, I can talk. So I filled in the remaining time in Sacrament. So see, we make a great team.
we probably had 20 minutes to fill in.
26. Yep.
What? Minutes. And you had no problem with that,
Oh,
Jordan.
no.
Oh, Sheena, what an incredible story. Well, story. Now I can see why that motto of yours, it's never
Yeah.
too late.
Yeah, it's never too late to live happily ever after.
Yes, never too late to live happily ever after. And you wanted that. And you were at one time thinking, was it possible, considering where your life
Yeah.
was, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that is hard. Reese was 29 and he told me he was ready to be done with the church because he was not going to a singles ward. He still would have a testimony. He'd still read. He still loves God, but he's like, the whole church thing and singles ward, like, I'm not going to do it. And so he told God, like, I'm done at 30. Well, he got married at age 29 and 8 months. So, see, God heard his prayers. He knew my heart, what I needed.
Yeah.
And, I think that's like one thing that I love is that God is truly in the details. He's aware of everything and he wants to bless us. We just have to be willing to listen. And I think that's what I loved is even though I had these beliefs that God couldn't reach me in my rebellious stage of life, he still did. And I also had thoughts that I would never get somebody as amazing as him, right? I mean, I had a child, like I had a previous marriage, like all these things. And I was so grateful, that Reese, accepted me and my son. He was just welcomed into my husband's side of the family from day one. His mother actually had a dream 2 weeks before she even met me that Reese would marry someone with a little child.
Really?
And that softened her heart and prepared her to receive us with arms wide open.
Ah, that preparation, that
Yeah.
knowing that at a time really must have been so vitally important for her to accept you, having in all of your circumstance and your son. And it sounds like Reese just adored him from that very first date.
Oh, yeah. So, being a single mom, I was exhausted. I need my sleep, but Blazin would wake up all the time in the middle of the night. So, it was easier to just have him in my bed with me because then I could just be like, shh, in the middle of the night and like calm him down. And so, when we started dating, Reese was like, so if we're going to get married, he's going to need to sleep in his own room. So I was like, okay. So we had this cute little car bed. And so Reese would come over at night after work and we'd put Blazin to bed. We'd, read to him and do prayers and everything and put him to bed. And I remember the first night, he's like, okay, now we need to go out. And so we're sitting in the living room and you hear Blazin. Daddy Reese, I need you. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, get him there. He's like, no, we gotta be strong. I'm like, you'll get your butt in there right now. We had never said call him daddy or anything. I mean, this was literally a few weeks into us dating. Like, we had never said, like, call him dad or anything. Like, I mean, he's 2. He didn't understand any of this. And he's like, Daddy Reese, I need you.
Oh, that's
Like,
so
oh
sweet.
my gosh.
Daddy Reese. Oh, so sweet. So sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, and how many years has it been now? Sheena,
We have been married 13 years.
13 years.
Yep.
What a story. Thank you for sharing this story with us.
Thank you.
All these miracles in your life so your children understand how it was that you and Reese, Daddy Reese, came together.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
truly a miracle. And I loved reflecting on it as I was thinking about this and kind of writing out our story. Because, I mean, I share it vocally with people. And it's such a gift to be able to have this recorded for my children and my posterity. So thank you for this opportunity. I've had many people tell me, write a book, do something. And so finally it's here. It's out in the world.
Yes, it's a record for all of your descendants. And someday it will be your grandchildren that will be watching this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you are so delightful. Now everyone can see why I love Sheena. Earlier, we talked about the healing library and how I'm involved in that healing library now and how Sheena helped me with my migraines and cluster headaches. Okay, and you're all probably curious about that. And that is such a significant story in her life. So, Sheena, how was it that you got into energy healing? I understand it's been in the more recent part of your life. Yes? Is
Yeah.
that okay?
Yeah. So in 2018, I was really struggling with postpartum depression. I had just given birth, and this was my 3rd child. And I'd come off of a crazy year where I had gone back to school. I was at Utah State full time doing a dual major for special education, elementary education. I was building our home, literally like it's a sweat equity program where you get together and you build all these homes together and then you can move in when everybody's home is finished. I was doing 12-hour Saturdays while being pregnant the entire time, having 2 other children, teaching Relief Society on Sundays, had gestational diabetes, so always poking the finger, checking my blood sugar, had heart palpitations, all these things. So that was a very busy season of my life. And so then I have this baby, we move in a week later, and I'm just like, wow. And I kind of crashed. I had been living in this new home, right? In my mind, visualizing what I wanted, this space, because we were in a tiny little apartment on campus. I'm like, I'm gonna have closets, right? I'm gonna have room to spread things out so it won't look so crazy. And so I move in, and my mother brings me a couch and a chair. My mother-in-law brings me 2 love seats and a kitchen table and some chairs. And so now I have like upstairs, because the basement's unfinished, I have like 4 couches, a futon, 2 kitchen tables, 9 chairs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was crowded. But the point was to finish the basement and, relocate some things. But that didn't happen for quite some time. So I'm living in chaos and postpartum depression and not unpacking boxes because I'm still healing and I'm not lifting weights and all these things. And so I'm struggling. And I had heard of a woman that I went to high school with who did this thing called energy healing. I didn't want to be medicated. I didn't want to tell the doctors I was struggling. I wanted something different. And so I finally was like, okay, I'm going to reach out to her. So this was like February of 2019. And we just did a phone call session. She's up in Idaho. And I said, I'm really struggling with depression, but I'm also struggling because I feel like there's a block between God and I. I feel like there's a shelf and my prayers can't get past. And I'm not sure. Obviously, it's me. It's not him. So what do I need to do? And she found out that there was a generational problem on my dad's side of the line, like 6 generations back. She found a gentleman who was obsessed with his lack of connection to God. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's like so validating because I've been obsessed. I'm like, what did I do? How did I offend him? Why can't my prayers get through, And I felt so good after the phone call. I was literally hiding in my master closet, taking the phone call so that I could have time for me, And so I get out, and she had yawned on the phone a few times. She's like, oh, sorry, like I'm just processing. And she's like, your body will process, however, when we disconnect. And I'm like, okay, whatever that means. And so I get off the phone, And I walk like the 10 steps out of my room to my children's room to check on them. And I start yawning. And I'm yawning like every 30 seconds for the next 90 minutes. And I'm like, what in the world? Well, come to find out, sometimes when we're processing emotions, you need oxygen to help break down the chemical components of emotion. And so yawning or burping will happen, sometimes tears, all these different symptoms, tingling, heat, cooling sensations. And so I am just processing because, see, I was taught to stuff my emotions. And so it was finally like the cork went pop,
Uh-huh.
and the way they started coming out. And I was like, this is amazing. I felt so good. And literally, that was like the next day, I got called into Young Women's. I'm like, there we go. I'm connected to God again. Like, it was just like that. I was like, this is amazing. And so that was in February. In May, I wanted to schedule a session with the woman who taught her this program. And so at the time, she had like a little free 30-minute call to find like a limiting belief that you had that was holding you back. And so we get on the call and we do the session, and I'm yawning like crazy and processing. And at the end, she's like, I'd love to have you join my program. And I was like, I would love to as well. But it was $1,500. And I'm like, I'm a stay-at-home mom and my husband works 2 jobs just so we can make ends meet. Like, that's not an option. Not only that, this is quote unquote weird or woo-woo. And my husband would be like, no, you're crazy. And so she was like, well, I actually have this basics program and it was brand new. She just took part of it out of the whole course to kind of teach the basics. I was like, oh, that sounds better. I need to get my feet wet into this, to see if I'm okay with this and to learn a little bit. And she said, at the time it was $300. And this is the month of May. I just had my birthday. My husband had given me $100. Each of my parents had given me 50. And I think I had 103 to my personal savings account. So I had like $303. So I like run to the bank, put my cash in the bank. I sign up for this thing called Venmo. I send her the money through Venmo and I get the manual in the mail. And the course was starting in like a week or two. I should like read a few things before we begin. And there was a typo in the first sentence. And I'm like, so my OCD perfectionist was like,
Is
so
she
I was
real?
like, and so I sent a text. I was like, hey, if you ever have space, I'd love to join like your editing team, and help you out. And so she calls me and she's like, oh my gosh, can you help me? You're an earthly angel. I've been praying for this. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, do you know Adobe InDesign? And I'm like, no, but I know Adobe Photoshop because I did photography for years. I'm like, I'm sure I could figure it out. Let's just say they are completely different languages, but I YouTubed everything to figure out all the questions that I had, and I helped her and I rewrote the manual. I asked questions. I'm like, this doesn't make sense from an outsider coming in. Can you explain more here? So I'm such an asset to her. We exchanged time for, my editing and stuff. And so I saved up enough money to earn her a full course, which again, a miracle. God provided a way, right? And so that was so beautiful. And so I began taking this course, and the advanced course was in the fall. So now my baby is like 13, 14 months old, and I'm now pregnant with our 4th. And I'm in the advanced course. There's only one other woman, and she lives in Salt Lake, so we just do phone calls. And she's like, I feel like you're so much better and more intuitive. Can we just keep doing practice sessions? I'm like, sure. So I call her up one day and she's like, okay, I want to work on my hip pain. So in this modality, you go through and you muscle test through like 25 different things. And then you go to that page and then you muscle test through, you're just finding and gathering puzzle pieces. And so I just was like, yeah, let's figure out what's going on in your hip pain. And as I'm sitting there, pregnant with my 4th, all of a sudden I feel hip pain. I'm like, ow, 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 ow. And I was like, is your hip pain in your right hip? And she's like, yes. Why? Like, I can feel that. Oh my gosh, ow. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I'm not. This is fascinating. What is this? I'm literally feeling her physical pain in my body. You can call that like an empath or a pain intuitive. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is fascinating. And so I was like, this is crazy. So this was in August. And so I realized I could feel people's pain. And fast forward to November 15th was my first ultrasound with this baby. And I had scheduled the appointment, but we are also supposed to be getting carpet in the basement that day. And my husband's like, no, change your appointment. And I was like, excuse me. And so I remember going up to the computer and I was going to find the phone number to call. And God was like, nope, you're keeping your appointment. And I was like, okay. So I didn't tell my husband that I didn't cancel it. And sure enough, carpet got stuck. And instead of being delivered Friday like it was supposed to, it's going to be delivered after the weekend. So
Okay.
I'm at my first appointment with my son and my husband, and I'm laying on the ultrasound table. And all of a sudden, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. And I'm like, what in the world? I don't think I've ever experienced that. And so I kind of turn around and there's just a wall. And I turned back around and the whole room just felt like it was shrinking. I felt all these angels come in. And that's when I heard the doctor say, I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat. And I felt like I had been body slammed and my spirit just exited my body. I was like, wait, what? I mean, my mother, my aunts, my grandmas, my sister, nobody's ever had a miscarriage. What is going on? And I was just in shock and devastated. And so he leaves the room to give us a few minutes. And he comes back in and he says, okay, we can there's 3 options. We can either let nature take its course, but the baby's already been gone for a few weeks and your body's showed no signs of that. 2, we can take the pills, or 3, we can get a D&C. So let's just start in that order. Let's see if my body can do what it needs to do. And so that night I go home and I'm praying to God and I'm sobbing and I'm like, are you kidding me? What is happening? Did you not get the memo? I have prayed my entire life to never lose a spouse or a child. What is going on? I was so mad and I'm sobbing and I'm like, is this seriously? Like, for real? Like, I mean, I've got all those thoughts of like, should we go back and double check? All these feelings, and I'm praying and I'm sobbing, and I had 2 thoughts come to my mind. Thank God for promptings, even when you're crying. And so the first thought is, one of my mentors, Leslie Householder, says, the sooner you go to gratitude in any trial, the less you suffer. And I thought, oh yeah, like the scriptures say to be grateful in all things, not just the good, in the bad too. And so I'm praying and I'm like, so thank you? Question mark. And I'm like, what am I supposed to be thankful for, God? And I was like, oh yeah, what I'll learn, who I'll be able to become, who I'll be able to help people and empathize with, that have gone through this, like, thank you. And then the second thought that came is Napoleon Hill says, within every seed of adversity, every heartache, every failure, there's an equal or greater benefit. This world is of opposition. It has to balance out. So if you've got a really horrible situation, you've got to start looking for the good because it's there and it's coming. And so I said, God, I expect to know that child. I want the veil to be thin. I want to know if it's a boy or girl. I want to see it, feel it, smell it, maybe now taste it, all the senses, right? And I said, I want gifts of healing. I am willing to bet like you have lots of spiritual gifts and senses that I don't even am aware of or don't even know about. I want all of it. I want all those gifts. Amen. And that was November 15th. I delivered my baby December 7th. That was another blessing. And the doctor called me. He's like, Sheena, you really need to let it go. Your body's not releasing it. And so I filled the prescription to take the pills and went home and looked at my calendar and cried because I'm like, there's no good day to have a baby because I've got bunco and I'm really excited. I've got all these things and I'm like, this is so hard and heartbreaking. And so all of my children at that time had been born on the 27th. One came 8 days late, one came 12 days early. Like, they all just landed on the 27th. 27's been a beautiful number my whole life. I met Reese and was married, right, when I was 27, all these 27. And so I looked at the calendar and I was like, oh, okay, December 7th, I'll do that. And so that night, Friday night was the 6th, I prayed and I said, God, wake me up because I'm not doing this alone. I'm not setting an alarm. You need to wake me up. I hear 3 a.m. is a sacred hour. And I went to bed and I sleep through the night. And I wake up and I'm like, oh no, it's nighttime. Why am I awake? And I look at the clock and it's 2:57 a.m. And I was like, oh no, here we go. So I went and I took the pills and then I went back and my mind is racing and please help me sleep. And so I went back to bed and woke up at 6:30. And then I delivered my little baby. around 4 in the afternoon and then called my husband who's in the neighborhood to come home. And he left, and then I ended up needing to go to the hospital. I was hemorrhaging. It was crazy, but God was in all of it. And so that was December of 2019. 2020 hit. We know how that year was for everybody. It was the best year of my entire life. All those spiritual gifts and senses that I asked for showed up one after another. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? Where's the user manual? And God's like, that's me. Just pray and ask. And so my gifts have been for learning. It was a year before I figured out that I will feel people's physical pain, their heartache, feeling stabbed in the back, or I will feel their emotional pain in my body to know what to work on. Like if I'm like, oh, your lower back's hurting, and you're like, no, it's not. I'm like, well, there's a message here. And when we tune into the message of the emotions and we honor it and we validate it, it releases, and then it helps relieve or alleviate the other physical pain that you've been experiencing.
That's amazing. And it was that gift that helped me to be healed. Yeah. And so from that, you have a healing library.
Yes, so I have a healing library, and it is a whole library. Right now, there's 126 videos in there of videos that people can get onto and experience pain relief as they work through processing traumas or emotions. So, I have like a session on your elbow. If you've ever had elbow pain, do the elbow session. But what's cool is every single session, regardless of what it addresses, we're actually addressing emotions. And so you will feel better, you will feel lighter. And so I created all these things to help people with the things that they're struggling with, whether it's forgiveness or family drama or the fear of being seen. We did like a whole spinal column session series that just goes through and works on all the emotions, allergies, seasonal allergies, menstruation sessions, all these things that can help your body work through the emotions that are typically found with those physical symptoms and release them. And then you find relief. I even created a rapid pain relief session because I'd have people emailing me at like 3 a.m. saying, can you help me with my migraine? And I'm like, I was asleep. I'm so sorry. And so I created this session that they can watch any time that they want that helps them with any pain they're experiencing. As I hold space, I have a gift of holding space and allowing whatever you're feeling to release, to be validated, to be honored, and to just choose to let it go. And then you find relief. Everyone feels lighter. Their pain's reduced by half. Sometimes it's even at a 0, and that's a 20-minute session. And I tell people I work faster than Tylenol or Advil or ibuprofen, and I don't have any side effects other than great relief, So it's been a beautiful, beautiful gift to be able to help and bless so many people who have been to doctors for all this phantom pain that they've experienced for life, and they can't figure it out. Just the other day, I was feeling a little frustrated at dinner time, got my kids dinner. I'm like, I need to walk around the block. So I went for a walk, and we live in a neighborhood where they're still building all the homes together. So I don't know these people, but my husband works with them, and I'm walking, and I hear this gentleman, he's bent over, grabbing his back, and he's like, oh, my back hurts so bad. And I overhear, he's like, yeah, I broke my back when I was 8. And so I was like, oh, okay. Hey, hi, I'm Reese's wife. I don't know if he's told you this, but I have a gift of helping people with pain. Would you mind if I help you? He's like, sure. I said a few things to him, and I had him rate his pain. He said it was at like a 5 or a 6. And then I said, okay, take a deep breath. What are you noticing? And he said, nothing. And I said, like, nothing as in the pain hasn't changed? He's like, no, nothing, it's gone. He's like, what happened? I was like, I was just holding space for the trauma from age 8. And, I kind of saw an image that needed to be healed. And so I just worked on that in my mind and with God praying, and he was out of pain, and he's still fine to this day. So it's like, thank you, God. I have so many fun, amazing, wonderful stories. And I have a little miracle journal where I've been writing down those miracles. So it's such a blessing in my life to be able to help so many people, including you.
Yes.
It's truly an honor.
Yes. I bet it is. You feel such a connection with your Heavenly Father in this effort. Yeah.
And the people.
And the people.
Yes,
yes.
That scripture of mourning with those who mourn, my gifts take that to a whole new level. I literally feel the physical pain. I have felt what esophageal cancer feels like. I have felt what a knee replacement feels like as I'm working on these people. And I'm like, it gives me so much empathy and compassion. And I think it's the most amazing gift in the world. So being able to feel somebody's like knee replacement, I'm like, wow, that just takes that gift to a whole new level of feeling it and experiencing it with the person and connection. I love to connect to people. So to connect to people that deeply, to feel their physical and emotional wounds is just a gift. I have people say, why would you want to feel that? I'm like, because connection has always been one of my core pieces of my identity. And to know that I can connect that much deeper with somebody just takes it to a whole new level that just brings me so much joy and compassion.
Yes. Oh, I can relate to that. I need that connection with people desperately. I have that need.
Yeah.
But you have it at a level of feeling them in the most vulnerable times when they're suffering from pain. What we'll do is we'll put a link to how to reach you in the show notes, and then people can take it from there. And
Perfect.
they can learn about the Healing Library from that link. Okay?
Great.
Sheena, it's been such a delight having you. It's been a blessing in my life having you. Incredible blessing. It's brought me from a place of chronic migraines and cluster pain to living life to its fullest again. And I'm so grateful for that. I've noticed I have to keep up the work or it starts to well up again. So I want to thank my Heavenly Father for blessing me with Sheena, and thank you for sharing your story today. And for now, we'll say farewell until we meet again. As Sheena was telling her story, did a story of your own come to your mind? One of those sacred, faith-like filled stories that you want to make sure that your children and grandchildren always remember about you? Well, this is your chance to do it. Make sure you comment at the end of this video, just right there at the bottom. And let's start a conversation, because I want to help you preserve your story right here on Dear Daughters of God. Then you can have it forevermore for your descendants. Let's get it started together. Talk to you soon.